Effects of poverty on family. The most obvious effects of poverty on family is the struggle to meet basic needs such as food and shelter. Because families in poverty may not always have access to adequate nutrition, they are at greater risk of having developmental, psychosocial, or behavioral problems than children of higher income families. Poverty is a human condition that affects millions. Some of these millions are women and children. The causes of this condition can vary by family. Some of these are low wages and unemployment, discrimination, sickness, issues with the law, and lack of education. Effects of poverty on family functioning. The effects of poverty on family functioning and children's development include inadequate food, clothing, housing, and health care, reduced access to healthy recreational facilities and equipment, increased risk for exposure to violence, and less involvement in stimulating intellectual activity. Inadequate nutrition, healthcare needs, social deficits, and lack of stimulation may result from the inability to purchase these resources due to low income. Poverty can have adverse impacts on family functioning, particularly in relation to conflict and cohesion. That is, poverty is related to the conflict between family members, leading to low levels of cohesion in an effort to keep the peace. Poverty-stricken families may experience additional challenges such as loss of a job, debt, and impulsive financial behaviors, including fraud. Kusuro and Slep, 2003. Effects of poverty on basic family needs. The largest number of poor individuals live in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. The effects of poverty on these communities include malnutrition, disease, premature death, low education attainment, low life expectancy, susceptibility to natural disasters and climate change, vulnerability to human trafficking and exploitation. As bonded by focusing our interventions on young children and their families, we aim to reduce the negative consequences of poverty at an early age. Poverty is a state of deprivation that results from a lack of resources and opportunities. The most common form of poverty is an economic state in which individuals or families have insufficient resources to meet basic needs for extended periods. Effects of poverty on family relationships. The effects of poverty, such as poor housing and diet, and the lifestyle consequences that it can bring, such as alcohol and drug abuse, have a damaging impact on family relationships. Poverty can cause family members to separate in order to increase their standard of living. Additionally, poverty can put a strain on relationships between family members. It can cause stress due to the financial strain and lack of resources. It can also create a one-sided relationship where there is a provider and a recipient. Poverty is the main cause of broken relationships in a family, particularly where one partner may have had enough of the poverty and opt to walk away. Both sides can be affected. Effects of poverty on divorce. The effects of poverty on divorce are manifold. Several studies have identified poverty as a key variable relating to divorce in later life. Poverty is often characterized as a trap that can undermine divorce. Research supports this view. It highlights the relationship between income and divorce in two main ways. Lower incomes affect what happens before and after divorce. Lower incomes make it more difficult for couples to weather difficult periods, such as unemployment or mental illness, which may lead to divorce. And being poor after divorce makes it harder to parent effectively, contribute to children's economic well-being, or give emotional support, factors that may increase the odds of divorce for their children. Effects of poverty on family. Effects of poverty on family stress. The effects of poverty on family stress is indirectly related to the causes of poverty. Family stress is evident in many poverty-stricken families, whether the parents have jobs or not. The effect of poverty can be seen on men, women, and children. Men often experience depression, substance abuse, i.e., drugs, alcohol, anger, and conflict with family members. For women, alcoholism and drug abuse are most normative. Also, domestic violence is prevalent within this context. The effects of domestic violence are often physical injuries, anxiety and panic disorders, fear of being alone or in public spaces or areas that are familiar for the victim. Effects of poverty on family mental health. Poverty has a negative effect on family members' mental health. If parents don't have access to proper psychological care, the effects are worse. When poverty strikes families, it can lead to depression, anxiety, and other psychological problems in adults, especially mothers. Divorce and domestic violence are also more common. Children of poor families are at greater risk of physical harm than children living in higher income households. Stress among adults is linked to depression as well as to a variety of behavioral disorders among children. As many as 1.6 billion people worldwide live in poverty, nearly 1/4 of the world's population. Poverty is a complex issue, and its effects on private life can be devastating. It can lead to serious and debilitating mental illnesses that affect not only the person who suffers but also those closest to him or her. While problems of mental illness are common around the globe, in the developing world, they are particularly prevalent due to extreme poverty, inadequate housing and education, limited employment opportunities, including job security, lack of access to health care, low living standards and medical care, social isolation, and violence. Effects of poverty on children in the family. Poverty has been proven to have an extremely negative effect on children's intellectual development and academic engagement. Poor children who live in families with the most severe economic hardship may perform less well than older or other economically better off peers even by age 3. Poverty can affect a child's social, emotional, and behavioral development. Children who live in poverty are at greater risk of food insecurity and poor nutrition, illness and inadequate health care, and intellectual and cognitive deficits. Poverty is a family issue that has tremendous effects on the education of their children. The causes of poverty and its effects on the children in America are numerous, with many interrelated causes and effects that contribute to big picture, long-term poverty and education issues in America.